Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about some of my favorite foam roller exercises. So I think foam rollers are pretty common and sometimes people don't really know what to do with them. Okay, so we have two foam rollers here. So this is a full length foam roller. I got this one on Amazon. You can kind of get them anywhere. You can go to Target and see what you have. So sometimes I like this one, and then there's a smaller one. I think this works a little bit better for the legs just because of the size, but if you only have one of these, you can still try this exercise. There's only one that I feel like you can't really use with the short one. I also got this one on Amazon. It was probably like $10, but again, you can kind of find these anywhere. People ask me if they should get the ones with the little bumps on them. I don't really find those comfortable, so I say no. There's also different like firmnesses. So these are pretty firm, but they have softer ones, but these are pretty standard. So we're gonna take the long foam roller and we're gonna place it on the ground, and then we're gonna sit right kind of at the base of it, and then you're gonna sit right at the bottom because we wanna make sure that we have room for our entire spine. So we're gonna slowly come down onto the palms, then onto the forearms, and then release the head down onto the mat. So my head is completely supported, my entire spine is supported by this foam roller. Then, so in terms of stability, this is a little unstable, right? So you can bring your feet wide if you want a little bit more stability. And since we're really working on a stretch here, you don't have to challenge yourself. So arms are gonna be opening, palms facing up towards the hips. Now, if this feels like a stretch, you're welcome to stay here. If you want a little bit more, you're gonna slowly start to slide your arms up. And we're not gonna go higher than this. The higher I get, my arms start to come off the ground, and we don't want that, just for, to protect the integrity of the shoulders. So we're gonna keep the forearms and the wrists, the back of the palms on the ground. So for me, this is as far as I can go. I'm really feeling a stretch in the front of my chest, moving into my upper arm. So I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna breathe. So with stretches, you really wanna try to hang out for at least 30 seconds. If it's comfortable, you can stay here, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. However, some people start to notice numbness or tingling in their fingers. And so I tell people if they notice that, just to bring their arms down and repeat this stretch a few times for 30 seconds. That tends to be a little bit more tolerable. So this is important for, in order to work the upper back and the back of the shoulders effectively, you need to have mobility in the front of your chest. So this can be a really nice stretch to do before you work your upper back or after you work the front of your chest. So another exercise that I like for the shoulders is a kind of like a modified child's pose lat stretch. And so you can do this a couple different ways. This one you could use the small roller or the big roller, but we're gonna have kind of a kneeling position, and then we're gonna bring our shoulders, thumbs pointing up to open up the shoulder joint, at least shoulder width apart. You can go wider. And then you're just slowly gonna roll the foam roller away from you. And you're gonna stay here and breathe. If you want a little bit more of a dynamic stretch, let's say before you work out, then you can just slowly move in and out of the stretch, pausing for 1 or 2 seconds when you get kind of to your end range. But if you're doing this towards the end of your workout, or just to find length through the shoulders, the lats, then you're just gonna stay here and breathe again for either 30 seconds and do that a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 times, or stay here for maybe 2-3 minutes. All right, another exercise I like to do with the foam roller. So we're actually gonna do 2 different things. This first exercise is an upper back extension exercise. So this can feel really good back. So we're gonna place the foam roller at about the bottom of the shoulder blades, bring the hands behind the head, elbows in, and then we're gonna keep the ribs down as we release the head back. So I have a lot of different exercises that work on this specific motion, but this is the one that I like to do with the foam roller. But if this is a little too intense, because of the amount of abdominal kind of stabilization you need, or if the pressure is uncomfortable, then you could just ditch it. The other thing that I like to do with this exercise is roll out my back. So you can do low back, upper back, mid back. I tend to do my mid back because that tends to be stiff for me. So with this exercise, or with this kind of, mobility exercise, it's kind of like a self-adjustment throughout your spine, but you are also massaging the muscles along your low back. So you could kind of do it for either reason. So if that's what you're gonna work on, then you're gonna lift your hips up, so like a mini bridge. Arms can be behind your head, across your chest, and then you're slowly gonna rock forward and backward. I try to keep this movement small and work on one little area at a time. And then if I wanna go a little bit more, I'll kind of walk my feet out. You can release the hips if you need to. So I'm getting a little bit of cavitation, some adjustments in my upper back. And I don't really like to roll the neck out with this. I wouldn't recommend that for anybody. I don't think that's safe. So I kind of stop right at the base of my cervical spine, and then you can kind of work your way back down. And then when you're done, you can release and press out. I'm gonna work on the legs a little bit. So I'm gonna switch over to my smaller roller, but you can use the bigger roller. It just kind of gets in the way. So if I wanna work my quads, I like to do one leg at a time. So I'm gonna come onto my hands, and I'm gonna support myself mostly through the opposite leg so that I can control how much weight I have in my quad. So I'm working on my right quad. It's up to you if you wanna keep the back toe lifted. You can also work on your inner thigh. So same idea, where we're gonna support ourselves mostly on this leg, and then kind of just roll in and out. I think it's most effective to kind of work on small little areas at a time. You can also do your hamstrings this way, kind of out to the side if you have that mobility in the inner thighs, or you can kind of come into a seated position, supporting yourself with the opposite leg and your hands. Let me do this side. So whatever works for you. There's really no right or wrong. You want to work on the muscle belly and kind of avoid your bones, because that's not going to feel very comfortable. Now, I do want to talk about the IT band, the outer kind of thigh, because a lot of people will roll this muscle, but the thing is, this is not really a muscle. The IT band is connective tissue, and it attaches to a small muscle up here. So I usually recommend rolling kind of the top of the hip in between like your hip bone and like your other hip bone. This is called your iliac crest. This is called your trochanter, your greater trochanter. So kind of in between those two spaces, if you can kind of feel that. But rolling out that lateral thigh is not really gonna do what you want it to. The key is to strengthen these muscles, and if you need to roll or massage that area out, then that's okay. For foam rolling is a really good way to give yourself a massage. It can help relax the muscles. It can help kind of clear out any lactic acid that was built up. So I would recommend doing it kind of as much as stretching and massage. But if you find that you're really, really tight, I would ask you to question whether or not those muscles are actually just truly weak and need to be strengthened so that they stop getting tight. So, but that's just my opinion as a PT. So you can practice these foam rolling exercises. There's a lot of other ones too, but those are kind of the ones that I would do for my own body.